What's up, guys? Chris here with Gaming Kinda, and I just got done recording the summary with Brian over on Work to Game for everything going into 5.4. But I wanted to talk about if 5.4 is worth playing. If 5.4 looks like it's going to be a great time to play Final Fantasy 14. And I don't think it's a simple answer of yes or no. I think it depends on where you're coming from and what you're expecting. As for new players, there's never been a better time to get in when we just squished, for anybody that's ever tried the game and maybe fell off before they got to current end game, for whatever time period they were trying. We've just come out of 5.3 where we squished a lot of the ARR story. They trimmed a ton of quests out, and they just made it a more streamlined experience. And so hopefully that will make the game a little more palatable for the new players that could feel a little overwhelmed saying, hey, I hear Shadowbringers is great. I want to try out Shadowbringers, and then finds out just how much game they have to get through before they're in Shadowbringers. So it's not as much of a rework as like what WoW is doing with the Shadowlands complete restructure, but it's definitely a step in that direction, and it's a really positive one. So as for new players, like I wouldn't worry too much about what's in 5.4 specifically, because honestly, you have plenty to get through and plenty to enjoy. Even once you're at endgame, you have all these other systems going on. And just know that from a current player that 5.4 is yet another good patch, and you'll have plenty to do between now and 6.0, and so go ahead and hop in. As for returning players, I think that's the next group of people to talk about. The question in my mind is, why did you leave? Did you leave just because you wanted to play other things? In which case, are you done with those other things? Like there are great games out there. We are going into 5.3.5 right now. So as of returning today, we are starting our relic grinds on Tuesday, the 13th, the same day as WoW Shadowlands pre-patch. And so whichever one of those games you think of as your priority, I would go give that one a shot. On Tuesday, I would go play through play through a new character on WoW and see what you think of that. Level up some characters that you've only got partially leveled. Give it a shot and try that. If instead you prefer 14 as your primary game, assuming these are the only two games in the universe, which is just not the case, then go get into Boja. Boja is always really, Eureka was fun the first week. So like, it's definitely something that like, I think if it has any resemblance of Eureka, sooner rather than later will be the preferred method. Depending on how they do kind of the ability to catch up on your resistance rank, which your Eureka, the level within Eureka last time, once you got behind, it was hard to catch up. So I would say that Boja's exciting. Going into 5.4, as for whether you should return for 5.4. 5.4 is, in my opinion, exactly the patch I wanted it to be. It's no more. There is not anything to it that just surprised me and just blew me out of the water to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, this game just totally changed for me. But there also wasn't a disappointment there. There wasn't anything that they announced that I'm like, that is a weird place to put your resources, or I can't believe a certain piece of content got cut. We're getting everything that we thought we were getting. We're getting story. We're getting a single dungeon. We're getting another trial. We're getting the last of our raids. We'll be moving into more relic. Now we will be getting a version of Baldesian Arsenal. It'll be a 24 normals, 48-man Savage, and that's really exciting, but it's hard to get too excited about that yet because I haven't been in Boja yet. So like, as much as I wish I'd known about Baldesian Arsenal when I started Eureka, so I'm glad we know, it would be hard to be excited about Baldesian Arsenal before we'd ever started Eureka in the first place. So like, I just don't know enough about how Boja works to know whether or not I'm like, oh my gosh, like an epic raid within this universe, within this space and this battle system would be really fun with kind of their logogram, whatever system, their abilities and all of that, where you're going to be able to like build up to tank levels of survivability on a healer and stuff. Like it's its own game. It's its own battle system within the game. But not having gone hands-on with that, I don't know if I'm going to be like, well, I hate this so much, I don't care about the 24 and 48, or I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I love this so much, it can't get here soon enough. I just literally don't know. So as for returning players for 5.4, I would wait and see how 5.3.5 shakes out if the relic is the portion of that you're excited about. Emerald weapon will be awesome. I love the new G-Pose stuff, but like G-Pose isn't why I play. I'm super interested in crafting and gathering changes. So for anybody that's been following this expansion for that, we've been going through our rebuilding of Ishgard. For any WoW players, it's basically like an AQ style event where servers compete to unlock the ability to rebuild an ancient destroyed city. And it's all done with professions. And so it's been a chance where to get everybody in, the first step they did is they dumbed down all of the professions. They basically made crafting and gathering mind-numbingly easy with incredibly easy experience curves, incredibly easy sources of experience, and they just made it an invitation to all to come try it. No need to feel intimidated, no need to feel scared. And in the process, in my opinion, they kind of insulted everybody who'd gotten really invested in those systems because they didn't have anything for them at the time. And they said, we'll take care of you. And it's like, okay, but what if you don't? Now, over time, they've gone back and they've added complexity, and they've added like a competitive leaderboard portion to each stage, and they've added expert recipes, and now they're going back and they're adding something that's a little more like the 1.0-esque difficult kind of thing. They showed us the HUD for it. I don't really know how it works. Maybe they'll show us gameplay in part 2 of the live letter. Probably sometime toward the end of November. And I'm excited for that. Like, I'm excited for the difficulty to come back into crafting and gathering as it has been when I watch Heal Me Harry over on Twitch doing a lot of these crafting recipes and making a mistake and it feeling really meaningful. Seeing that emotion and seeing that, it's just nice to see the community engage with that. And it's nice to see them extend the curve. They're making your perception and things mean more. They're making that affect collectability and stuff like that now. So basically, the beginning is going to be easier, but the end is going to be more gear dependent. It's going to be more skill dependent. It's going to be more knowledge dependent. And so the when we had crafting and gathering and it was this big of a portion of the game, they extended this way, and I felt like we moved this, but now we've widened this back up. And so it's possible that we're on path to have professions be bigger and deeper and wider than they've ever been before, and that they really will have something for everybody. They made some fishing changes that I just literally don't understand. So like, I don't know whether or not to be excited because I don't know whether or not it really changes something in a meaningful way. We'll be getting housing at the Ishgardian Restoration. At the end of it, we'll be allowed to build houses there, player houses, for anybody that's never played 14 before. Houses are a limited quantity thing. And so a lot of new players, they come in and they see the price tag on houses and they go, oh my gosh, how am I going to get that much money? Money is not your limiting factor. It feels like it when you're just first making money, but as soon as you make a little bit of money and you get over the threshold for a small house, you're very quickly, if you keep at it, working on the money for a medium house and then a large house. And you quickly realize that the problem is not the money. Lots and lots of players want a house and have the money. The problem is that there's a limited quantity. And so Ishgardian housing being added is going to be yet another source of drama and friction. And everybody's excited about it now because everybody that wants one assumes they're going to be one of the ones to get one. And that's just mathematically not true. And for the people that get one, they will be content and they will move on. They won't go out and shout from the rooftops every day for the rest of time. They'll go, yeah, my house. And over time, it'll wear off and they'll go, yeah, I got my house. I like it. And that's the level of excitement they'll have. That's the level of excitement I have towards our free company house. Our guild has a house and it's nice and I wouldn't want to give it up, but like, I'm not overly open about like, wow, I can't believe we got a house. I'm not like every time I log in, I'm like, whoa, I can't believe this. Of course I can believe it. We got a house in Limsa for looking over the ocean for years now. For the people that don't get a house though, that's going to be a rub every time they log in and they want a house and they don't have one. So I think it's just yet another point of drama. They have to tackle housing at some point. They have to restructure this. Or it's just going to constantly be this festering wound on this game for all the people that want one and don't have one, especially from a time back when players could work to acquire multiple houses, and they didn't take those away. They removed the ability to do it, but there's still players that have, several houses on some servers, and they may have moved to those servers when those servers were underpopulated to buy up those houses because they were available. They may have picked the server to transfer to based on their ability to buy multiple houses, but it doesn't mean that now that those servers are picking up a little bit of steam that they're not actively holding something. It's easy to blame those people for that, but like even if you did give their houses back, it doesn't make a dent in the number of people that want houses. So some person owning 10 houses and there being 5,000 people that want a house, you could take 9 of those away. You've still got 4,991 people that are screwed. So I don't know that the answer is to take them away. I don't think that's right. I think it's just the core issue that's the problem. Other than that, like they've added a ton of other side content, and I think it's all really exciting stuff that will last us through the end of the expansion. It's nice to see Blue Mage get extended. So I think for you returners out there, it's as good a reason as any to come back. It's not overly exciting. It's not overly something that like I feel like is truly groundbreaking. So if you feel like you've been on the edge of returning, yes, return. If you're like, I hate this game because of X feature, I don't see anything that they changed that's so drastic it could have closed up a reason to quit. If you quit because PvP is not as active of a community, they didn't do anything to change that. If you quit because the battle system doesn't appeal to you, they didn't do anything to change anything. If you quit because you feel the game focuses too much or too little on story, this is going to be more of the same. So for anybody looking to return, my question is more of like, it really just depends on why you left in the first place. Now, for current players, will it be worth continuing to play in 5.4? Will it be worth playing if you already have an active subscription, you've been relatively active? I think that that's going to depend a lot on how 5.3.5 goes on Tuesday. I think if Boja is something that appeals to you even remotely, 5.4 is hands down a reason to play. If not, then, you know, you go in, you clear your story, you try out a couple of the maps, you clear the new instance content, and 5.4 may only be worth it for you for a couple of weeks. 5.4 doesn't seem to have anything that's going to be lasting long-term content. If you're already if things like maps don't already appeal to you, if things like relics don't already appeal to you, if those things do appeal, you probably already knew you were going to keep playing before seeing this, before even hearing about 5.4, you knew you were going to be playing in 5.4. It wouldn't have mattered what they did, because we knew we'd be getting some form of a repeat of existing systems. So I think that as I look through these, yeah. As for job adjustments, that's kind of the big one for existing players. Like, will my job be fixed? This is part one. Part one of the live letter. They don't tell us whether or not 5.4 job adjustments will be what you wanted. They used to give like hints, like here's kind of what we're thinking, but we'll work on the numbers and the numbers will come out in part 2. And then people got upset about that. They got upset about, well, you made it sound like my job's going to be ruined. Or you made it sound like this job that I already feels overpowered is going to get even more powerful. And so it just caused a lot of pain. And I don't think it made anybody happy, because anybody who was like, oh, that looks good, I'll have to wait and see what the actual numbers are. And so they didn't really come out ahead. So I think it was a wise move to kind of pull those out of part 1. Yes, it sucks to not have the information, but I just don't really feel it was doing the community as a whole any favors to give us the ability to be frustrated, but not give us the ability to feel content. And so I think that we're in a good spot now. I think that telling us with part 2 makes sense. It gives us one more thing to look forward to in part 2, because part 2 is going to be gameplay on any of the systems being added, like the new Blue Mage abilities and possibly these gathering changes and stuff like that. And so for people that don't care about whatever system is being added in a particular patch cycle, part 2 isn't that exciting, because you're like, I'm just seeing gameplay to stuff I'm already not planning on doing. But knowing that job adjustments are in there means that, okay, I have something to look forward to. So everybody gets something in part 1. Everybody gets something in part 2. I think it's just a better way to do things. I think that really sums it up. Is 5.4, having just come out of the live letter, is 5.4 an expansion? Is it a patch cycle worth playing Final Fantasy XIV? Is it worth getting into Shadowbringers when 5.5 is the last patch before the next expansion? Is it even worth trying to get in? Is now the time? And is it worth returning for? Depending on why I quit, is this a reason to come back? Is this a reason to come back for just the first days of it? And should I expect to play the whole cycle? When is it? Part 1 being in early December, probably I would guess December 8th, that second Tuesday. And then 5.41 will be in January. So probably that first or second Tuesday of January, but maybe later in the month, but that kind of puts us at that easily 4 to 6 weeks for that. Patch cycles typically run around 16 weeks. So we'll do kind of 6 there. We'll go into 5.435 after a little bit more time. And then we'll go into 5.5, which is the last patch. So 5.4 is like our last big power jump for the expansion. And then 5.5 is kind of, in my opinion, the 0.5 always feels like a victory lap. Feels like more where we start to prepare for the next expansion, introduce a lot of catch-up mechanics, and everybody can just kind of enjoy reminiscing on what the expansion was like. So 5.4 is our last big meaty patch, but it may feel different this time because Ultimate was delayed and all of that. So like it may feel different. That's just how I felt in 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. But maybe 5.5 is different. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully that was a much longer winded way of kind of explaining so that I could catch your viewpoint instead of just simply saying, yes, you should play or no, you should not, to give you a little bit of context on why you might play. I think it's a great time to try this game. If you are happy with WoW, I would give Shadowlands the benefit of the doubt. But we don't know when Shadowlands drops. So you could hop in right now, depending on how active a player you are. If Shadowlands ends up being a bust for you, just know that this game will be here. And I assume Shadowlands will go live before 5.4, but who knows? It may be around the same time. And so if Shadowlands doesn't work out for you, we'll be at some portion of 5.4, and it'll be here. So come give it a shot. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is a channel where like I wasn't really trying to just sum up the patch notes. That takes place over on Work to Game. I wasn't really trying to tell you guys how to play. That's more for something like a guide channel. I was just trying to talk about gaming and a post that is tied to gaming but doesn't belong in its own place. So it's about gaming, kinda. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.